Hey guys, it's me Swastika, and today we will be going through the current affairs for July 23rd, 2020 from the Hindu. So before we move on, let me just tell you a little about myself. I have done my master's in political science from Jawaharlal Nehru University. I have done my BA honors in political science from Delhi University, and in case you like my content, in case you find it interesting, please don't forget to press the subscribe button. That's the red button at the bottom of the screen. So I will in like today's newspaper. There was basically a lot of short news and a short quips from the newspaper that I'll extensively be covering today because a lot of questions for the preliminary stages of most papers goes through the uh, current affairs and the short questions that can be asked. So e-commerce sites are now, it is being mandatory that they must state the country of origin, and this is enacted under the Legal Metrology Act of 2009. This piece of news is obviously in context of India banning most of the Chinese apps, and it's taken in that context that the sites must state the country of origin. The salt-loving bacteria called Halorchia turned the Lonar Lake in Maharashtra pink. So this is basically a Lonar Lake which was in news recently. The entire lake became pink and it changes its color because of the presence of a salt-loving bacteria which is called Halorchia. So this halophic archaea or halorchia is a bacteria culture which produces pink pigment and is found in water saturated with salt. In the absence of rain, less human interference and high temperature could have resulted in the evaporation of water, increasing salinity and pH levels in the lake. So it was notified as a National Geoheritage Monument in 1979 by Geological Survey of India. Right. So this is basically located in Lonar Lake, and so basically there was like a meteorite sort of crashed a long time back over that lake, and since then that lake is basically a geo heritage monument, and it keeps turning pink because of the presence of a salt-loving bacteria. US needs to go beyond alliances, says S. Jaishankar. So S. Jaishankar is basically the foreign minister, and he was a diplomat, and he's saying that even though India has traditionally had and studied and always been a party to the non-aligned movement, we still need to go beyond alliances. We have to learn to work in a multipolar world. So he is basically talking about the importance of multipolarity in the current world and the need to just go beyond alliances. PM Modi has invited US firms to invest in India in defense, health care, infrastructure, agriculture, and insurance sectors. So this is also happening. PM Modi is inviting US firms to invest in India in defense, healthcare, infrastructure, agriculture, insurance, and other sectors. In another short news, 24% of Rajya Sabha members face criminal cases. This analysis was done by ADR, which is Association of Democratic Reforms. So this is important to remember. I think the stat is important to remember because criminalization in politics is a major problem. And the fact that 24% of the Rajya Sabha members face criminal cases means that this is something that isn't being looked into when it does in fact need to be looked into. 12% had declared serious criminal cases. 89% of those analyzed had declared assets over 1 crore. The US is ordering China to close its Texas consulate in Houston, and Beijing may retaliate. So this is basically that there is a consulate that USA has in China which they are ordering to get shut, and Beijing may retaliate accordingly. Short news. So this is basically the new coronavirus vaccine formula by Andrew Pollard, who is the one who's developing the coronavirus vaccine in Oxford, and he is basically the director of Oxford Vaccine Group. And the basic purpose of this vaccine is to induce immune responses to spike protein. So in the next thing we are reading about the 10th schedule. This is in news primarily because of the Sachin Pilot Ashok Gehlot controversy, which has left us all shook. So the 10th schedule lays down the process by which legislators may be disqualified on the grounds of defection by any presiding officer of a legislature based on a petition by any other member of the House. The 10th schedule is basically like an anti-defection law sort of thing, which basically says that legislatures may be disqualified on grounds of defection by the presiding officer of a legislature based on a petition by any other member of the House. Any question regarding this qualification arises out of defection is to be decided by the presiding officer of the House. Originally, the decision of the presiding officer was final and could not be questioned in the court. However, in 1993 Kyoto Holan case, the Supreme Court declared this provision as unconstitutional on the ground that it seeks to take away the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court and other courts. It held that the presiding officer, while deciding a question under the 10th schedule, functions as a tribunal. Hence, his decision, like that of any tribunal, is subject to judicial review on the grounds of malafide, perversity, etc. Supreme Court in the Kyoto Holan case specifically barred any judicial intervention prior to the decision-making stage. Supreme Court had held that no interference is permissible at interim stage of proceedings, and judicial review of final decision is available only on limited grounds. So Article 212 of the Constitution provides for courts to not inquire into the proceedings of the legislature. The validity of any proceedings of the legislature shall not be called into question on the grounds of any irregularity of procedure. So Article 212, just keep it in mind that it says that the courts are not to inquire in the proceedings of the legislature. So the next one that we are going to discuss is on the editorial page. It's at the right side, bottom right, editorial. And again, this is about India, China, Bhutan. We know that China has a very aggressive foreign policy, and it is in fact infringing upon Bhutan's eastern territory as well, called the Sakteng Sanctuary. In the previous current affairs, I have in fact put a map to tell you exactly where in Bhutan Sakteng is related, and it's the eastern corner of it. So this is for the third time that China has said that eastern Bhutan is a disputed territory. According to China, the Sakteng Wildlife Sanctuary is located in China-Bhutan disputed areas, which is on the agenda of the China-Bhutan boundary talk. China's first claim was at a UNDP-led Foreign Environment Facility conference on June 2 to 3, when the representative tried to stop funding the Sakteng Forest Reserve in Bhutan, eastern district of Trashiga. China claims that the boundary between China and Bhutan has never been delimited and that it has had disputes over eastern, central and western sectors of Bhutan. Chinese officials have not raised the eastern boundary in 24 rounds of talks with Bhutan that began in 1984. Thus far, talks have only been about Bhutan's north, Sargung and Chakarlung valleys. So Bhutan's west is basically Doklam and other pastures that have come up to the tri-junction with India. So eastern Bhutan, Sakteng Sanctuary, China is saying is ours. They are also having issues with Bhutan's north, which are basically Pasam Lung and Jakar Lung valleys. So north is here. They're having issues with these two valleys as well. And then obviously the Doklam tri-junction between India, Bhutan and China has always been an issue of contestation. I think in 2017 it was in news because China wanted to take over that also. So Bhutan has totally rejected the claim made by China and was able to secure the funding from GEP. Bhutan has said that the Sakteng Wild Sanctuary is an integral and sovereign territory of Bhutan. Bhutan has conveyed its position to China through its embassy in New Delhi, as Bhutan and China do not have any formal diplomatic relation. After repeated claims by China in the past 2 months, Bhutan is now appeared to take a sober view of China's claims by saying that all disputes will be taken up in the next round of China-Bhutan talks. So Sakteng is basically situated along the border with Arunachal Pradesh, some of which part is also claimed by China. Even after the India-Bhutan Friendship Treaty of 2007, Indian military is virtually responsible for protecting Bhutan from the kind of external threat that the Chinese military poses. So So what is the strategy that the Chinese claims are taking? One is obviously the pressure tactic, that is an attempt by China to hurry the scheduling of the next meeting. One is the reiteration of the package solution. So China is saying that we give you a pocket solution to the China-Bhutan border dispute. It refers to a deal offered by Chinese in 1990s where China was ready to give up its claim on 495 kilometer in northern region in exchange for 269 kilometer in western region, which is Doklam and Chumbi Valley. Obviously, for India, there is a wedge between India and Bhutan. So China's new territorial claim is a part of the larger Chinese tactics of putting pressure on India's smaller neighbor to punish them for any closeness to India. Obviously, they want to punish people for being close to India, so they are doing this divisionary tactic because India is already dealing with aggression on the line of actual control. Doing this would further divide the resources. Extend claim on Arunachal Pradesh, obviously, to gain control of Doklam region, located near strategically important Siliguri corridor. So the conclusion is that no matter what the region's design are behind its new claims, India and Bhutan must stay on the course. This was all for today, guys. In case you like my content, don't forget to subscribe. And thank you for listening.